Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. We're continuing what we began yesterday. It's a sort of a long Hasidic discourse. It's really not long, but it's a little bit too long for us to finish in a week. So it's talking about the argument between Korach and Moses and Aaron. Korach declared war against Moshe and Aaron. And the simple reason was sort of like a political family the jealousy issue. But really, it went much deeper than that. It went to the essence of things. It went to the essence of things. um, once someone said something to the Lubavitcher Rebbe about another person, and the Rebbe said, "I don't oppose people. I oppose, how do you say, ideas. Ideas. For instance, the idea of communism came in the world, the idea of these different religions. Each one has different ideas. And the ideas, that's what inspires people to do things. Same thing like King David in the book of Psalms. The King David wasn't complaining against the people that did it. He was complaining against the ideas and the principles of life that motivate these people, that push these people to be oppose him and to hate him and to want to depose him and to want to destroy him, to kill him, turn after him. The principles of life which are involved that push people to do things that are destructive and sometimes self-destructive and sometimes self-destructive. So that's what's going on over here. Korach was motivated by a principle in life, by a life, do you say, what do they call it? Paradigm. Paradigm. Okay, but now Judaism, that's the whole idea of Judaism. What's the idea of Judaism? The question always comes, and we've talked about this before, why do people hate Jews? So it really doesn't make any sense. Why would they hate Jews? Let's say people hate blacks. So you can look at a person, you can see if he's black, his skin is different. People hate Orientals. You can see that they're Orientals, but when you look at a Jew, you can't tell he's a Jew. How do you know? You can't, not by the way he acts. It's not the things that Jews do, but the things that Jews say. They pin on Jews. Hitler, right? He hated the Jews. He did why did the Jews did all these things, and he was really there was no real basis in any of the things that he said. I mean, it could be that there were Jews that they wanted money, but that means you have to kill all the Jews. All the Jews. So, what is it in this thing that is a Jew? What is it that arouses people so much? What's going on? It's not the person. It's not even what they do. It's the principle. It's the paradigm, the reality of what the reality that pushes this principle and reality that pushes Jews to do what they do, right? So, what exactly is it that pushes people to be Jewish? What is it that pushes people to? So, you see, first of all, there's a lot of people that aren't pushed to be Jewish. They're not aroused. They don't act Jewish. They don't feel Jewish. They don't identify being Jewish. A lot of them don't even know that they're Jewish. So what is it? So the Rebbe says that's the idea of Chabad, is to awaken what true Jewish identity is. What is true Jewish identity? True Jewish identity is to perfect this physical world the way God wants in the Torah. And in order to do that, you have to have emotion. You have to love God. Excuse me. You have to be devoted to God. You have to be even self-sacrificing for this principle, this idea of making the world the way God wants it to be. And what that entails is revealing the creator and the creation, revealing God in the creation. Okay, we talked about, okay, so the ones that can really do this are Aaron and his sons and Moses. And I mean, that's the most important job in the world. And Korach wanted it. He wanted this job. He wanted to be the most important person in the world. I mean, just let's take an example again. Let's say communism, right? So communism. So these people, they want to rule the world. They want to either their method of ruling the world is unsuccessful, never worked, never will work. They don't care. Makes no difference. The principle is they want to rule. They want to do. There's such a thing as ruling the world. The world needs a ruler. They want it to be them. They're going to be the ones that rule. And then you have these different religions, right? All of them are, they provide certain needs. They answer certain questions, but they don't answer the ultimate question. Like communism also does, right? It gives a person a purpose. It gives a person. So what is supposed to be really the idea? What's really the unifying factor in the world that's really supposed to? The people that have the idea that the world has to have a ruler and the world has to be put into order is right. That's correct. The world the way it is not right. There has to be something that puts the world into order. Into this, those people, the woke people or the anarchist people, they're wrong. There's no order. Everybody just does what they want to. So that's in a way the problem. That's not going to solve anything. Eventually, there's going to step in another Mao Zedong or another Pol Pot or something, and he's going to take over these meaningless people. So, what's supposed to be the purpose? The purpose is supposed to be to reveal the Creator in the creation. That's the Jewish people. God spoke to the Jewish people. Only nation that even claims it. And we have it. So Korach knew all this. And Korach said that if anyone's going to be the ruler, somebody has to be the ruler, right? Someone has to put order in the world. According to which principles are we going to make order in the world? That's the argument over it. That's what the Mimer is talking about. Which ideas are going to rule, are going to be dominant to rule the world? So Korach had his ideas, and Moses had his ideas, or more exactly, Korach had his ideas, and Moses had God's ideas. Okay, but Korach said, no, my ideas are also God's ideas. What's the difference between them? Korach basically said that the world, the way it is okay. Doesn't have to be fixed up. The world is already okay. Now, the way the world is right now, that's the way it can remain. It's pretty much okay. Right? You don't have... That's the idea of the techelet, the blue on the tzitzis, means to push away bad. Push away bad. And Korach basically said, you don't really have to push away the bad. The bad has already been done. It's already been done. And that's the same thing here. It says that's the blue strand on the tzitzis. Is the word techelet means to destroy or to dissolve, to get rid of the bad things. So Korach, it says he dressed his followers in garments called the talit, and they were all made of this blue. And he said, does a garment like this that's all blue, does it have to have tzitzit? Does it have to have blue strands or not? And Moses said yes. And everyone laughed at Moses and said, here, the whole garment is made of this blue. What do you have to have strands for? That's what he said. Right? What was he indicating by this? By this, he was indicating his idea. His, I want to call it philosophy. It's not so much of a philosophy. I mean, I guess maybe you can call it. Oh, his motivating thing, the thing that motivated him to do what he was doing. What he wanted to rule in the world. And that is, you don't need the strands. What's the difference between it? Says the techelet means to destroy. That mechala, that it gets rid of all the bad of the animal soul. Like it says, below toturu, so that we can fulfill what it says, don't go after your eyes and after your heart. Remember we learned that yesterday? That you should not be like prostituting yourself, selling yourself out for the pleasures of the world, even big pleasures, like the rulership, the drugs, whatever it is, the biggest pleasures, money, riches, fame, all those things. Don't let those things rule over you. That's the idea of the techelet. The techelet is supposed to be that the world does not influence you in a negative way. It does away with all bad influences. When a person thinks about how that God is so infinite and that God is the ruler of the world, then a person will realize that he's not the boss, and therefore he'll have fear of God. That's what tchila means. It's similar. It says that it's the color, the blue strand. Again, we don't have that blue strand anymore. Since the temple was destroyed, according to Kabbalah, so there's most opinions say we don't have that. But nevertheless, the blue is similar to the sea. The sea, that's this level of atzilut. That's the highest level of godliness that can be, and it blinds the eyes of selfishness, of evil. Excuse me. Oh, therefore, when the Jews traveled in the desert, they covered over all of the vessels, right? They disassembled the tabernacle, and they covered over all the garments with all the vessels, the ark and etc., with a cloth of blue, of tchelet. In other words, to get rid of the bad in the world. Get rid of the bad in the world. The strands of the tzitzit, the blue, that's to bring it into the world. That's to bring this ability to defy the world into your personality. That's why it says the tzitzit surround you. And this corresponds to love and fear in an inner way, and love and fear in a surrounding way. Right? That's the ideas of tzitzit, that's love and fear. Love and fear, ilah, which is above the whole entire world. Therefore, nimshach al chutei tzitzit. Therefore, it is drawn into tzitzit. The tzitzit are drawing this godly fear, this power of the world, the power of godliness, into the world, so that everything that we do, everything we urge that we have, we'll think, first of all, should I follow this urge or not? It'll come into our personality. That's what the strings are. That the techelet, that the power of defiance, the blue, which does away with the bad, it'll come into our day-to-day life. Excuse me. Okay, so what was wrong with that? Korach said he doesn't want that. What's wrong with Korach? What's wrong with this blue to get rid of the bad, to defy the world? What's wrong with that? It says Omer Korach. Korach said, a talid, which is totally blue, you don't have to have any strands. In the Kisvei Arizal, in the writings of the Arizal in Kabbalah, it explains that what was Korach's peeve? What was he complaining about? One second, I want to make this bigger. Moses complained against Moses. What was his mistake? It says that the Nitkane was jealous. Korach was jealous on the beard of Aaron. Huh? Now it's known that the Levites, they had to shave. They didn't have beards. So the beard of Aaron and the tzitzit coming down from the garment is the same thing. Kohen Gadol, the idea of the high priest in Judaism, the Kohen Gadol, the great Kohen, he was the one that would go into the Holy of Holies once a year. He is called Shushvina de Matunita. He is called the escort of the queen. The queen is the Jewish people. The thing of Aaron is to draw love and fear down into the Jewish personality so that we'll have love and fear of God, and we will desire to be closer to the Creator. Shehu Amailat Neshamat Israel. This is the good quality, the elevation of the Jewish souls into their source in or Ein Sof. What's the unique quality of the Jews? We're the sons of God. The Jewish people are called the sons of God. We are called the sons of God. The Jewish people are called the son. What's the son of God? What does that mean? A son has natural love for his father. He realizes that somehow or other this is his source. So he has a natural affiliation, affinity for his father. Natural. And that affinity, that feeling is a feeling of love, generally. And that feeling of love, and it's also a feeling of awe. He knows that if it wasn't for his father, he wouldn't be here. that's what Aaron did. He inspired the Jews to feel the very existence and their personality comes from God. Now, this is true about all mankind, but the all mankind are not called sons of God. Only the Jews are called the sons of God. Mankind, they're the masterpieces of God. They're the handiwork of God. They're the precious artifacts of God, but they're not the sons of God. The son is a very deep, intimate, personal, emotional connection. If you want to even call it above emotional. It's a deep connection that a son is willing to give his life for his father. That's a type of a love where he doesn't get anything out of it. He gives his life for his father. He's not benefiting at all. He's dead, right? He's willing to. That's the essence of what the Jewish people are. That's the identity of the Jews. He's willing to do anything for his father. And what does his father want? That this world should be a good place. That's what he wants. But that's the essence of a Jew. Aaron aroused that inside of the Jews. That's the point. He aroused it inside of the Jews. The Jews could make on their own, have their own individual, intimate connection with God that they decide on their own. Hainu al yedei shamamshich. That how does Aaron do it? He draws down to them this love, this great love of God, inspiration. Aaron provides inspiration. That's the idea of the beard of Aaron. We talked about this before. It's in Psalm, 133? Kamosh Katuv, like it says, Keshemen Hatov, like the good oil that comes down on the beard of Aaron. It comes down al midotov and his garments. The midotov means garments, but it also means emotions. That by means of Aaron's very presence inspires people to love God. Shel Kodesh Baruch Hu. Shu Ahava Rabbah, this is a tremendous love of God. Therefore, it's drawn down by means of the beard of Aaron. That's the level of the hairs of Aaron. Okay, so this is a general thing in the world. You can be, how do you say, inspired. You can be inspired by people who are genuinely devoted to something. Genuinely devoted. You see someone who's genuinely devoted to playing the violin, right? And it comes out as beautiful, right? You hear Yitzchak Perlman or somebody like that. They're playing the violin. What is it? The Yehudi Menuhin, and he plays the violin. It's just amazing. Look at this guy. He must have put hundreds of hours into this. You see the devotion. You see the beauty that comes out. You see this, and that inspires you. Say, wow, music is a real thing. I want to do it. It could be, let's say, even a person that's deaf, and he sees somebody, a great violinist, Paganini. He's playing the violin. He doesn't even know what's going on, but he sees the person is so devoted, and his eyes are closed, and he's in this rapture of music and beauty and this and that. And the person that's deaf said, well, I'm going to do anything I can just to be able to hear again, right? I'll do anything to get the money together to make an operation. I'll find a doctor. I want to have that feeling that he's got. I see something really superhuman that's coming out of it. That's what Aaron did. People would look at Aaron, they would see, they would feel that you could be devoted to God. But that's only psychological. That's psychological. And the influence of Aaron on the Jewish people was far, far beyond psychological. Far beyond psychological. But it came into the psychological. In other words, it came into people's personalities. It became a practical thing in your personality, a real thing that you can love God. God is more lovable, more beautiful, more than the most beautiful violin or music or money or whatever people love, right? God is infinitely more so. And people had no idea of this, or had no idea it was possible until Aaron. Aaron not only gave them the example, but he also, his very presence gave them a blessing. That's the idea of a blessing. And that's the idea of the hairs of Aaron's beard. Aaron, his whole being was loving God, and the beard is showing how he pulled this love down into the souls, into the personalities, the character of each and every Jew. That every Jew could be connected to L'mayla Miseder Ishtalshlut. Therefore, it is impossible that can be drawn down only by means of hairs. It's this love of God is so powerful that it can only be drawn down very, very, contracted in a very small way. in a very, how do you say, the digestible way. Al derech mashal, for instance, like hairs, for instance, called hairs, which is not the case. Love, which comes from only from intellect, that this is if it did. Aaron drew a love of the essence of God. People suddenly felt that they weren't just loving God, copying Aaron. It was really they themselves could connect to the same source that Aaron was connected to. That's the idea of the beard of Aaron. So that's also the idea of the tzitzit. That's the idea of the strands of the tzitzit and the techelet, the blue and the white. The blue, that's fear, dechila, and reish is rechima, and love. That's the idea. The two tzitzis in the front are love and fear of God, which are drawn down in an internal way. That's understanding. And the two tzitzis in the back, that's in a surrounding way. Okay. So that's Aaron. Ready? Here we go. Here is the mistake of Korach. But in the Torah, it says that Korach was a Levi, right? Originally, there was only Levites. And after God, it was supposed to be the firstborn. They were the priests. And after the sin of the golden calf, so God took it away from the firstborn, and he took Aaron and his sons, and he made them into the priests. So it ended up that a small portion of the Levites, they became Kohanim. So Aaron was one of those that became Kohanim, Aaron and his sons. And Korach and his family, they remained Levites. And Korach didn't like that. Why? One of the reasons is Aaron had a beard and Korach did not have a beard. We just explained that this idea of a beard means drawing down an inspiration of godliness, a blessing of a feeling of godliness according to each and every person's ability, like hairs. They're being drawn down in a, how do you say, a digestible way that each person could, okay. But the Levites, it says that's the Kohanim. They have the hairs, they have the tzitzis, they can draw godliness down according to each person's personality. They can inspire because they have the hairs, they have the strands, they have the tzitzit, etc. But by the Levites, it says v'haviru tar, that they have to pass a especially when they were initiated, they have to shave off all of their hairs with a razor. The Levites didn't have beards, because the Levites, they were too powerful. They were the left. Levites were too powerful. They were from the side of fire, from Gevurot, power. Aaron was love, like water. And the Levites, they were like fire. So they couldn't be too contracted. You couldn't contract the Levites too much. It's like you have a hose with water on it, right? And you contract it, it comes out in a tremendously powerful way. Where Aaron is like you have, let's say, floodwaters. It's already coming 100 miles an hour. You contract it even more, then it's totally destructive. That's the Levites. The Levites are power. And too much power, too much constriction is not good. Not good. So therefore, the Levites were not supposed to have hairs. And Korach took it to an extreme. And let's go. Let's maybe skip this here. They took it to a extreme. So this is why Korach was jealous of Aaron. That Aaron is Shushvina, the maternita, that Aaron elevated the Jewish people. Shebechinat Zakin Aaron, because Aaron had this thing of hairs, which hairs imply godliness brought down into human understanding, into human personality, to inspire people. Aaron's thing was inspiring everyone to feel God. Inspiring, and therefore it could come down to each and every person. So as the Kohanim Nimshach Kedusha, that was drawn down, the Kohen, this high, tremendously high level of love and fear to the Jewish people. And the Levites exactly the opposite. They couldn't have, the Levites were not able to come down to the people. They couldn't draw this down. They didn't have this drawn, therefore he disagreed. Let me give an example that I just made up. Let's say you have two geniuses in Torah. You have Einstein and you have, I'm just making this up, Einstein and you have, Professor Groys. They're equal geniuses. But Einstein knows how to teach people. He can teach people. He can bring his ideas down to children. He inspires them to be professors. He does this, which is not the case. Professor Groys, he's just like, if he comes into a class and starts talking, no one understands what he's talking about. It's so high. It's just so maybe one or two people sort of get the idea, right? Because it's just too powerful. It's just too intense what he's saying. And he doesn't care. But he wants exactly the opposite. He wants everybody to know that he's the greatest. He wants everybody to know that his level cannot be achieved by just, parchi in the streets, regular people. He is the elite. He's the elite. That's something like Korach. Korach, he wanted, he was against bringing godliness down to the people. He was against inspiring people to have love of God and fear of God and all that. He wanted to be exclusive. That was his job. You want to be holy, you be holy. You leave the world. You want to be in the world, forget about the holiness. But I don't want to bring things down. Therefore, Korach disagreed with Moses. Maybe we can say this is something like, when the first Rebbe of Chabad, and this sort of carried on the generation, the first Rebbe of Chabad, he took these ideas of Kabbalah and he brought it in a way, that's what we're reading now, that it would inspire your love of God. It would inspire your awe of God. It would inspire even the most simple person to do the commandments with more enthusiasm, with more emotion, with more, how do you say, genuineness to do the commandments. And when the first Rebbe of Chabad came out with these ideas, so they said, what are you bringing Judaism down to the simple people? What are you doing? You're wrecking it up. Judaism is serious. Judaism is holy. We're the people who learn the Torah, they're the Holy of Holies. We can't give this out to the people in the streets like it's, like it's popcorn or something like that, or, free samples, something like that. The Torah is austere. You have to be removed high. It's too powerful. It's too much for the simple people. And the first Rebbe of Chabad and all the Rebbes of Chabad, that's why there's always been opposition to Chabad, is bringing down these very, very deep ideas of Kabbalah and what's the essence of God and these levels of godliness into the most simple people to inspire doing the commandments. That's the point. To inspire their doing the commandments, to inspire their love of God, to inspire them to pray properly, to really love God. And the how do you say, the aristocracy of Judaism, those who people sat and they learned the Torah and they knew the Torah, they didn't know the Torah, they couldn't stand this idea of bringing it down to the people, right? And their idea was the simple people remain simple and the high people remain high, and that's okay. That's okay. That's why Korach hated Aaron, because he did not have the ability to draw down this godliness into simple people. Therefore, he said, you don't have to have the hairs, you don't have to have the strings of tzitzit, that the hairs and the strings of the tzitzit, this draws down godliness in a way that's contracted, that can be appropriate, user-friendly to even the most simple people. Therefore, that's now we see the question. He dressed up his followers, Korach, in a garment that's all blue. Kula techilat. What does it mean? Shu amar she'ikar, that the main thing is this blue, the power. This is gevurot, power of Torah. That does away with all the bad. We'll take care of that. Omri said the main thing is the talit that's all blue, namely the surrounding level. the surrounding level. Judaism has to be spiritual. Leave it spiritual. Leave it alone. Judaism will be, right, only for the high class, for the intellectuals. The intellectual. That's good enough to do away with bad. Do away with bad. Shu potter mina tzitzis. When you're at such a level, then you don't have to wear tzitzit. Tzitzit, that's the strings. That's the little strings and the hairs which draw down godliness into an internal way. And Korach said, listen, Moshe, we are already holy. We don't do any sins. You don't have to draw this godliness down into the simple people. You don't have to draw the simple people. No, simple people is just enough that they do things by rote. They don't have to have emotions. They don't have to have inspiration. They don't have to have, how do you say, excitement about godliness. They have to just do the commandments. They'll be simple people. We're good enough to keep the people away from, we'll be the examples. They don't, right? There has to be a separation. That's Korach, means to be separated. Koreach mikana mikana. You don't have to answer, you don't have to draw down love and inspiration to the people. Why? Because this surrounding level, we, says Korach, we, my men, the Levites, we're higher than these strands. Our job is good enough. We're the ones that'll keep people away from bad and from good. How can it possibly be that the Talit, which is a surrounding level, which is this pure, excuse me, wow. That the surrounding level, it can't be like you say that this is not the commandment. You have to put on the garment these strings. Strings are just little tiny bits of godliness. Doesn't make any sense. You don't have to have that. Well, his intention was that he also wanted to go against the whole idea of Aaron being a priest. You don't have to draw down tzitzit. You don't have to draw down godliness into the world in a way that it is relevant to the normal, regular people. You don't have to contract godliness. That's what people were saying about Hasidut. You don't, Hasidut is not for the normal people on the street. Therefore, Yochel Gamken Liot Kohen Gadol. Therefore, Korach said, I can be the high priest. Even though the Levites, they cannot draw down holiness in the world. But Korach said, you don't have to have the holiness in the world. What do you want to call it? Normalized Judaism. In every religion in the world, there's the priests and there's the normal people. That's what Korach said. That's the way it's going to be in Judaism also. There's going to be the priests and the normal people. That's why it means that a garment that's all techelet, if it's all blue, that's the priests. That's good enough. You don't have to draw it down to the simple people. The simple people should remain simple. What's wrong with that? God made them simple. Who are you to change it? Here's something that's interesting. We'll have time to do it. Okay, listen to this. It's in the parentheses, but it's good. Listen to this. Magid Meshorim. There's a book called Magid Meshorim. Magid Meshorim was an angel that spoke to Rabbi Yosef Karo. Rabbi Yosef Karo, he lived on the same time as the Arizal. His daughter, I think, got married to the Arizal's son, or the other way around. His son married the Arizal's daughter. In any case, he lived at the same time. This is like about 450 years ago in Tzfat. And you can go up to Tzfat where they're buried. Both of them are buried. So this Beit Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Cairo, he had an angel that would talk to him. And he wrote down what the angel said. It's in this book called Magi Meshorim. And it says also on this, it says that the whole argument of Korach, we can say that in the future, it says the Levites will be the Kohanim. Also, the same thing in the Likuti Torah. There's a book called Likuti Torah from the Arizal, who lived at the same time, Yitzchak Luria. Over there in the chapter about Yechezkel, it says, Ki az yitaleh, there's a sentence in Yechezkel, az yitaleh b'chinet gevurot like it's written in the Likuti Torah. It says in the future, the Levites will raise up to be the level of the Kohanim. What does it mean? Because then it says in the future, it says that Yitzchak, there's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It says Abraham is love. Yitzchak is awe, fear. Yitzchak is like the same level as the Levites. It says in Yitzchak that Ato Avinu, Yitzchak, this thing of power is going to be the main thing that's going to bring the Mashiach. That's what it says. In Likuti Shas, it says also that the Gevurot, that severity, will be the main thing. Why? Because the world will be refined and the kindness will be secondary. Okay, now what does this mean? What's this mean? Listen, nowadays there are simple people and then there's talented people. There's people who are holy people and there's people that are not naturally holy people, right? In the Tanya it says that there's people that are called tzaddikim and there's people that are called beinonim or whatever, normal Jews, and then there's tzaddikim. So it says nowadays the tzaddikim have to come down and bring inspiration to the simple people. They have to bring simple inspiration to the simple people, right? That's the idea. That's what they're supposed to do. But in the future, when Mashiach comes, then there won't be simple people anymore. Then everyone will know God, and they'll know God in his full power and his full glory, and everybody can be really, really exact on themselves. Exact on themselves. Like the difference between, let's say, the janitor in the hospital and the brain surgeon, right? They're all both in the same hospital. But the brain surgeon, one little wrong move, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. One little wrong move, and it's life or death. And the janitor, if he misses a floor, he misses whatever it is, one patch of this is not the end of the world, not such a big deal. The simple people. To get the janitor to care about every little detail, right, and to show how important it is, that's how are you going to do that, right? That's how you're going to do. He says that's the job now. Nowadays, we have to take the simple Jews and we have to inspire them, which that's like 99% of all the Jews, 99.99%. And to inspire them, that's what we have to do now. But in the future, you won't have to do that. Because in the future, it says that the Levites will be like the Kohanim, that the simple Jews will all know God just like the greatest of the tzaddikim. That's what it says over there, that Shammai and Hillel is called an argument, which is the sake of heaven. It'll always exist. What do you mean it'll exist? An argument, Shammai and Hillel. Shammai was very severe. Hillel was very lenient. And this is an argument which will exist for all time. The question is, that's a bad thing. An argument that's going to be all time. If it's an argument, how can it possibly be for all time? I mean, one opinion has to be right, and one opinion has to be accepted, and one not. Why keep it going for all time? And the answer is because both of them are the words of God, right? Beit Shammai is the word of God, and Beit Hillel, even though that they oppose one another, but they're word of God. Says the Rebbe, but that doesn't really make that much sense. Rashi and Halacha is not like him. Says, but the Arizal gives a different answer. Oh, he says, I'm sorry. In Midrash Shmuel, it says that this is not such a good answer. Because in the end, what do you want to say? That both of them are the opinion of God, but the fact of the matter is that the law is like Beit Hillel. And so the Arizal, he answers no, that in the future, in the days of the Mashiach, the law will be like Beit Shammai. That's what it means that both of the opinions, the argument will be there for all time. Now, in the time of, it's not relevant that everyone can be like Shammai, that can be so severe on themselves. So the law is like Beit Hillel. His opinion is right, but only fitting to now. And in the future, what's going to be is when the whole world will realize God, then the law will be like Beit Shammai. So both of them were correct. Beit Hillel was correct for now. And Beit Shammai, which that's the more severe opinion, that's going according only to a person who's a big tzaddik, that everything he does is right, he can be very exact on themselves, that's going to be in the future. That's what it means. Therefore, Korach, he wanted to make now, he said, so Korach, so what did Korach want to do? Korach wanted to say, listen, Mashiach is going to come anyway. And when Mashiach comes, the truth will be revealed. So the truth is the truth, it's there now. So Korach said, that's what I want right now. We have to act right now as though Mashiach is here. That's what I want. And the way things are now, like when Mashiach comes, everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be fixed. You won't have to fix up the world anymore. There won't be any necessity to inspire people. And Korach said, that's the way I want it right now. The world is okay the way it is. The world is the way God wants it. Who's creating the world? God. God knows what he's doing. So leave it alone. The world, the high people are high. The low people are where they are. That's the way it has to be. You don't need any strands of tzitzis coming down to inspire the simple people. But the M is really shaga. He made a mistake. In his vision, Korach, that everything is okay. You don't need inspiration. The world is the way it's supposed to be right now. You don't have to defy evil. There is no evil. You do the Torah, you do the commandments, that's enough. Says that's a big mistake, because conducting the world like this, it's impossible only after the world has been refined. That from the world of Tohu, which that's the Gevurot, like that's the level of Korach, perfection, in the world of Tohu, that's the world of perfection, but everything is separate. You have to remove all bad. In this world, you can't just let things the way they are, because there are things in this world that are bad. And the Yetzer Hora, that's Gevura, Yapach Latov, it has to be good, very good. That's the way it's going to be, which is not the case now. Hayom Lasotam Migvurot, now we have to do them, we have to be strict on ourselves. We have to long for inspiration. Listen, I mean, something like that is going on now in the world. That's, there's these people, the woke or whatever it is, and they say that whatever you are, it's okay the way it is. Things are good the way they are. Let everybody be the way they are. Right? Don't try to control me. Don't try to tell me what to do. Don't say that there's right and that there's wrong. You have to be free, and you have to teach everybody to be free, just to do what they want. Says the Rebbe, okay, that's really the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. But when Mashiach comes, people won't want to do destructive things. They'll naturally want to do what it says in the Torah. When Mashiach comes, all of the religions in the world will dissipate. They'll go away. People won't worship people. They won't worship this. They'll only go according to the Torah, to the 7 Noahide commandments. It'll be an automatic thing. People automatically, their consciences, people will follow their conscience, and their conscience will be clear. But now it's not that way. Nowadays, people's consciences tell them you got to steal. You have to, right? If you live in communist Russia, you have to turn your parents in if they have money under this, right? People's conscience, the whole world is confused. So you have to have, nowadays, you have to have Aaron with the hairs coming down to inspire people what is right. Therefore, nowadays, the law is like Beit Hillel. You have to be lenient nowadays. You have to be lenient. You can't say that everything that everybody does is right. You have to be lenient and tell people, listen, there's right or wrong. Little by little, we'll teach you. We have to be lenient. Little by little, we'll let, like in Chabad, they tell the person, put on tefillin. I don't want to. Listen, put on one time. Put on one time. Then he puts on one time, he gets maybe a desire. The next time he'll put on maybe twice, maybe 3 times. But little by little, you can't expect a person to do everything at once, little by little. And Korach said either everything or nothing. It has to be perfect. Perfect. The people who know what Torah is, they'll do perfect. The people who don't know what it is, so they're also okay. It says Korach jumped the gun. Only in the future, Rak la'atid, only in the future will the exactness of Korach be everywhere. Only after the world has been perfected. That's what it means in the future. The law will be like Beit Shammai, which is not the case. Korach did not want to be humbled. Therefore, that was his fall, right? That is what's this? There's a word before it. Lifnei, in Mishlei it says, Lifnei nefila gava. Pride before the fall. Oh, pride before the fall. He lifted himself up. He thought he was perfect the way he was, and he wanted everybody to be like him. And in fact, he was very close to perfection, right? But his whole philosophy was wrong. His whole idea, his motivation was wrong. He didn't want to fix the world up. He said the world is okay the way it is. That's Korach. The world is okay the way it is. But you don't have to have strands. You don't have to have hairs. You don't have to this. That. You don't have to draw from a higher level to a lower level. Leave things the way they are. That is a mistake. How did Moses answer him back? This we will talk about more tomorrow. This we'll talk about more tomorrow. 1 second.